President Rodrigo Duterte today reiterated that there will be no negotiation with the terrorists. The president was reacting to reports of an alleged attempt to hold back-channel talks with Islamic State-inspired militants who are holed out in Marawi City. Claims were reported made by a Muslim cleric, Aga Khan Sharif, who, according to a published report, alleged that a top Duterte aide had approached him to act as an intermediary to start back-channel talks with the Maute group.
Address the claims of Aga Khan Sharif. Up to this point, we have no verified reports that there were efforts to initiate such actions as Aga Khan Sharif claims. Let me be clear that the position of the palace and the president is not to negotiate with terrorists, including these local terrorist groups, which had intended to establish a state within the Philippine state and to remove allegiance to the government of the Philippines and the chief executive of the city of Marawi and its residents, because this constitutes rebellion, because they submit to a foreign leader and hold to a dangerous ideology that is inimical to the well-being of all Filipinos, including Muslim Filipinos, and because most Muslim Filipinos disagree with the extreme interpretation and application of the Muslim belief system.
Samantala, nagsampa ang Office of the Ombudsman ng petisyon sa Sandigan Bayan para sa forfeiture proceedings laban kay dating Philippine National Police Chief Alan Purisima at kanyang pamilya. Ito'y dahil umano sa ill-gotten wealth na nagkakahalaga ng 29.2 million pesos. Kabilang sa mga kinasuhan ang may bahay ni Purisima na si Maria Ramona Lydia Purisima at ang mga anak nitong sina Rainier Van Albert, Eumir Von Andre, Alan Jr. at Jason RV. Ipinagutos rin ni Ombudsman Conchita Carpio Morales ang paghahain ng 9 counts ng kasong perjury laban kay Purisima dahil sa hindi nito pagdideklara ng kanyang ari-arian sa Statement of Assets, Liabilities and Net Worth o SALN mula 2006 hanggang 2014.
Malacanang reiterates President Rodrigo Duterte's commitment to bring about peace and stability in Mindanao. Presidential spokesperson Ernesto Abella stressed that the president will continue pushing for the passage of the proposed Bangsamoro Basic Law and federalize the present form of government. Abella says the president believes federalism will help bring peace and progress to Mindanao.
The president is serious about redressing the social injustice committed against Muslim Mindanao. He is committed to having the Bangsamoro Basic Law passed. The president intends this to be a template for his vision of a federal form of government in the Philippines. We also thank the MILF for the issuance of a fatwa against extremism and radicalism happening now in Marawi. Again, we sum up, the president is committed to what is just, fair, and equitable, and he stands against what is criminal, corrupt, and dangerous to the people and to the next generation.
Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana is asking for the patience of Marawi City residents on the ongoing clearing operations against Maute terrorists. Lorenzana says the conflict in the city has started to wind down and that it will only be a matter of time before the victory against the terrorists is attained. The defense chief, along with PNP Director General Ronald De La Rosa and acting DILG Secretary Catalino Coy, visited the war-torn city today. Here's the story with Kenneth Pasyente.
Philippine National Police Chief Ronald Bato de la Rosa, Department of Interior and Local Government OIC Undersecretary Catalino Cuy, and Secretary of National Defense Delfin Lorenzana arrived in Lanao del Sur provincial capital this morning. Their visit aims to check the latest status of Marawi City and to talk with the local chief executives regarding the rehabilitation process of those parts of the city greatly affected by armed clashes.
Ang purpose namin dito ay makuha sa kanila yung mga concerns nila about what's happening in Lanao Sur, Marawi, especially concerning yung mga evacuees, yung upcoming rehabilitation ng Marawi.
We are also here to address some issues pertaining sa local government. At the same time, yung security situation.
Lorenzana asserted that there is still ongoing intelligence and surveillance backup given by the United States military to our armed forces in the combat zone. With this, he is confident that soldiers will speed up the timeline to defeat terrorists. He also added that United States and China are ready to extend help in the rehabilitation of Marawi.
Ang sabi ng ambassador ng United States, the USAID is ready to help us whatever we need. Kaya nandyan na yung, meron na dyang USAID representatives sa US Embassy, and they are ready to help us in any way we can. Pero limited yun sa kanilang mandate nila, what kind of help they can give us. Hindi pa natin alam, pero they are ready.
Though there are few safe areas inside Marawi City, the Secretary advises the authorities not to let civilians back into the city for their own safety. He also promised that his department is doing its best to stop the turmoil from spreading across Mindanao.
Makasiguro kayo that we are doing all the efforts to prevent this from spreading throughout the country.
Meanwhile, PNP Chief Bato said the PNP SOCO has started to retrieve cadavers, but only a few of those have been processed because of PNP SOCO is still waiting for the area to be cleared. De La Rosa also emphasized that because of the ongoing clashes showing no let-up, martial law is still needed.
Kung gusto mong ma-hasten yung paghahabol sa mga hinahabol natin, then I still need that martial law. Frankly speaking, kinakailangan pa natin.
These government officials are also hoping that in no time, peace will soon return in the city.
Marawi City evacuees can look forward to receiving more relief assistance. A huge Philippine Navy ship is set to return to the south, bringing much-needed relief goods from the government and private organizations. Julius de Samburun reports.
Barko ng Republika ng Pilipinas, Pampanga will sail to Iligan City again, this time loaded with relief goods and medical supplies from the Department of Social Welfare and Development and private organizations, as aid for the thousands of families affected by the crisis in Marawi City. Residents affected by the Marawi siege have since been evacuated to Iligan City. Earlier, BRP Batangas and BRP Malabrigo went to Mindanao to unload assistance for the Marawi evacuees.
Ang mga relief niya, pagkain, may mga medical supplies, hygiene kit, tsaka tubig. Meron ding school supplies na pala na pinadala yung DepEd.
Data show that more than 350,000 people affected by the crisis in Marawi, 17,000 of them are in evacuation centers, while 300,000 went to stay with relatives and friends. Social Welfare Secretary Judy Tagiwalo assured that relief operations for the evacuees continues. As of the latest count, more than 123 billion pesos worth of assistance has been given by the DSWD so far. Crisis Management Committee spokesperson Zia Alonto Adjong thanked the government agencies and NGOs that have been extending their hands and will continue to do so until the Islamic city of Marawi returns to normalcy. Meanwhile, aside from delivering relief goods, the Philippine Coast Guard is also monitoring bodies of water that terrorists can use to escape or can use to bring in reinforcements.
Meron tayong riverine patrol doon kasama ng Army. Meron tayong mga aluminum boats na umiikot doon para pigilan yung mga reinforcement at mak-cut off din natin yung supply na maaaring pumunta doon sa mga kalaban.
Earlier, Joint Task Force Marawi reported that the places occupied by the Maute fighters are dwindling with the loss of their logistical and financial support.
Tragedy and calamity bring out the worst of times, but at the same time bring out the best in humanity. And generosity and charity more often than not spring forth from the most unlikely and unexpected sources. Just like how this group of Filipino and Chinese businessmen have stepped up their acts to come to the aid of their marginalized Maranao brothers with the help of the Philippine Red Cross. In this report from Ria Fernandez.
These trucks arrived at the Philippine Red Cross on Thursday morning, containing 10,000 t-shirts and 10,000 packs of 5 kilos of rice from the Federation of Filipino-Chinese Association of the Philippines. They will be given to around 4,000 families affected by Marawi crisis. Before the group, composed mostly of businessmen, there were already a number of donors who came to Red Cross to help Marawi. Among those are other countries like Israel and South Korea, who both extended help through their embassies. Meanwhile, Senator Richard Gordon, chairman of the Philippine Red Cross, encourages everyone to do their share, whether small or big. Meanwhile, Senator Richard Gordon, chairman of the Philippine Red Cross, encourages everyone to do their share, whether small or big. Aside from food, he says our compatriots urgently need now hygiene kits.
Nakatira ka doon, kailangan papalitan mo yung toothbrush mo. Kailangan may papalit ka ng sanitary napkin. Meron kang underwear na papalitan. Meron kang toothbrush, meron kang shampoo. Meron kang safeguard. Ang binigay namin, 5 bars of soap. Ubus na yun. So kailangan meron kapalit dyan. May tuwalya, may bimpo, may deodorant, may lahat kompleto yun, shampoo. Yun ang kailangan na, hygiene. Because importante, pagka hindi ka malinis, magkakasakit ka.
For those who wish to donate money, deposit them to any of the following Philippine Red Cross Bank accounts. You may also drop them off at their headquarters in EDSA Mandaluyong City or contact them through their numbers.
6 members of the terrorist group BIFF have fallen into government hands. In a clash in Maguindanao, government forces also recovered from the terrorists 6 high-powered firearms. Eunice Monte has the story.
From the very start of this conflict, there was never any doubt in the mind of the military that we will win this battle. There was never any doubt that we will win. It was only a matter of time.
45 days after the terrorist attack in Marawi City, the military is confident that they are going to win this war against the evil terrorist group. Based from the latest records of the AFP, there are now 30 civilians killed, 85 government casualties, and 351 terrorists killed in action. The AFP spokesperson meanwhile clarified that negotiations between the military and the terrorist group will never be an option.
The instruction coming from the Commander-in-Chief has been very, very clear. It has been very clear that there will be no negotiations with these evil elements that are inside the city who have brought damage and havoc to the whole city of Marawi and who have killed so many innocent lives and the lives of our own men. So how can you negotiate with such an evil force?
And as the fight in Marawi City rages on, the AFP assured the public that their hands are still working on the other parts of Mindanao affected by violent extremism. In fact, 6 members of Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters or BIFF were arrested through the joint cooperation of Philippine Army and Philippine National Police in Maguindanao. Confiscated were 6 high-powered firearms, including 2 caliber 50 Barrett sniper rifle, 1 M60 machine gun, 1 RPG, M14 rifle, and M16 rifle from the enemy. No casualty was reported from the side of the government, while still checking on the part of the terrorists, whose age ranges from 25 years to 55 years old. Meanwhile, the Moro Islamic Liberation Front or MILF, through Chair Al-Hajj Murad Ibrahim, expressed their support to the fatwa or the Sharia ruling disapproving the spread of violent extremism in Mindanao.
Meanwhile, Budget and Management Secretary Benjamin Diokno said government infrastructure spending will shoot for about 90% this year. Diokno made the statement during the Infrastructure and Construction Forum in Makati City. Diane Kerr reports.
In an infrastructure and construction forum held in Makati City, National Economic and Development Authority or NEDA Secretary Ernesto Pernia and Department of Budget and Management Secretary Benjamin Diokno assured the public that the Duterte administration will be quick and effective in implementing the big-ticket projects under the Build, Build, Build program.
The President wants to undertake projects that are finishable within this term. So in the last NEDA board meeting, which he chairs, I mentioned that the 75 flagship projects is a master list from which we shall draw projects for implementation based on priority and finishability.
Eh kasi kidigong, pagka ganun ka, wala kang ginagawa. So, di ba sabi niya, spend it well or lose it. Lose your job, hindi lose your budget, lose your job. We will not tolerate somebody who's not working.
Moreover, Pernia says that he is confident that the Philippine economy will continue to grow, and this is also because of the investment in infrastructure of the current administration.
The economy is also undergoing structural transformation, which means that growth is increasingly being driven by investments vis-a-vis consumption, and led by industry vis-a-vis the private sector, the service sector.
Meanwhile, Diokno says that the crisis in Marawi City has a very little effect in the Philippine economy. Also, the big infrastructure projects in Mindanao will continue despite the incident in Marawi. Department of Transportation Secretary Arthur Togade meanwhile says that the Duterte administration is committed in rebuilding Marawi City after peace is completely restored in the area.
That is the commitment of the President. That is the commitment of the Cabinet. Marawi will be rebuilt. Sabi nga ni Presidente, baka mas maganda pa kaysa nung bago nagkaroon ng insidente.
The government is now ready to fund its ambitious infrastructure program. This is according to Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez, who stressed that the Build infrastructure program will ensure robust growth for the economy and more inclusive growth pattern and dramatic reduction in poverty incidence by 2022. The Duterte administration is setting aside as much as 8.4 trillion pesos over 6 years to finance what it calls the golden age of infrastructure. In the same press briefing in Malacanang, Dominguez stressed that the country is now fiscally secure. Added details from Rocky Ignacio.
I am happy to report to you today that the nation is fiscally secure. Recently, Moody's investment rating agency has just reaffirmed our investment grade rating.
In spite of many challenges, the Philippines' economic fundamentals remain strong a year after President Rodrigo Duterte assumed post.
We are on track to meet all targets. We are on our way towards achieving the growth breakout our strategy aspires for. From July 2016, when we took over, to May 2017, the government collected about 2.09 trillion pesos in revenues. That is 7% higher than the same period the previous year.
In a press briefing in Malacanang, Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez said that the Duterte administration had placed mechanism to attain GDP growth to 7% this year. A tax reform package is also pushed to improve infrastructure and other development projects. The tax reform bill, once passed, is expected to generate an income of 134 billion pesos, a win-win solution to sustain economic growth and eradicate poverty.
We take heart in the fact the passage of the tax reform measure was welcomed by nearly all stakeholders, businesses, international development partners, credit rating agencies, and most of all, wage earners. The package accomplishes the dual goals of increasing disposable income for our workers and increasing spending for the poor. It is a win-win package for our people.
The palace official also dismissed reports that the proposed tax reform bill is actually anti-poor. Dominguez said 10 million poor families will benefit from the tax reform package.
This program is not to pay past debts. This program is not to address a crisis. This program is an investment for the future. Besides, this program is also here to make things fairer to the Filipino people. That's why the big part of the program, which nobody talks about, is the fact that if you are earning 20,000 pesos a month or less, you will pay no tax.
Included in the proposed bill is the system to eradicate red tape in all revenue-generating agencies, like in the Bureau of Internal Revenue or BIR and the Bureau of Customs or BOC.
Well, I personally dismissed 2 regional directors who were caught who were involved in harassing individual taxpayers. So they've been moved out of their offices and are now waiting to be charged. The BIR strengthened its Run After Tax Evaders program and have filed 40 cases involving tax liabilities of 40 billion pesos.
Meantime, Dominguez hopes that both Congress will pass the proposed tax reform bill soon. President Rodrigo Duterte will hold his second State of the Nation address or SONA on July 24.
A magnitude 6.5 earthquake struck the province of Leyte this afternoon. FIVOC said the earthquake occurred at 4:03 in the afternoon, with its epicenter located at 8 kilometers west of Haro, Leyte. It was tectonic in origin, or the movement of the Earth's crust. The temblor had a depth of 2 kilometers. It was felt at intensity 5 in Tacloban City, Palo, Leyte, and Cebu City. Intensity 4 in Tolosa, Leyte, Sagay City, Negros Occidental, and Burgos, Surigao del Norte. Intensity 3 in Bogo City, Cebu, and Calatrava, Negros Occidental. Intensity 2 in Libho, San Jose, Cagdianao, Dinagat Islands, and Intensity 1 in Rojas City and La Carlota City, Negros Occidental. Initial reports said one man was killed and a woman was hurt due to the quake.
The fight against illegal drugs in Barangay Culiat in Quezon City continues to yield positive results. Let's hear the details of this report from Clazel Pardilla.
The local officials of Barangay Culiat posted drug-free house stickers on the doors or outside walls of 400 homes identified by the authorities as residences not involved in illegal drug transactions.
Itong ginagawa namin na to is to identify kung sino pa talaga yung involved sa drugs, yung gumagamit, yung nagbebenta. Ang gusto namin mangyari dito, mai-account namin lahat.
Barangay Captain Vic Bernardo stressed those residents seen suspected with illegal drug connections are highly encouraged to come over to the barangay office to receive appropriate help.
Usap namin, marami sa kanila yung pumunta sa barangay at yung iba mga nagkusang nagparehab. Nagparehab yung iba at yung iba ay nag-undergo ngayon dito sa mga activity ng barangay. Nagbavoluntary surrender.
Included in this operation is the participation of the Philippine National Police or PNP who will provide backup support for the local authorities.
Barangay po, ang PNP ay patuloy po nagtutulungan at ganun din po, nai-inform po natin yung community at sila po ay nakipagtulungan na rin po upang malutas tong problema sa illegal na droga.
Meanwhile, residents show their appreciation for government projects, particularly this house tagging, which has resulted in less violence and closer to the reality of crime-free environment.
Malaking papasalamat ako kasi kahit paano maging maayos yung lugar namin na walang mga drug addict dito. Saka hindi magulo, maayos, matahimik. Kaya nagpapasalamat ako kahit paano free yung bahay ko.
Ever since the Department of Interior and Local Government or DILG started this project, around 70% of the households in Barangay Culiat have been visited by the authorities, while local officials continue to make sure that residents